The creep in my walls. This story begins with me at home alone at night. You see, my parents were very weird and had never really liked to stay home at night. But I had the chores of cleaning the house, locking the doors, the only doors in the house, and feeding the dogs. I had just wrapped up these things when I scratched my head and realized that it was getting late and my parents weren't back like I usually want them to be at that time. I settled down for a long night and popped some York peppermint tea into the microwave for a quick whir. My chores no longer made a sound, so all you should be able to hear throughout the house was the dull light of the microwave. But listening closer, I could hear something in the walls that wasn't my tea. Those freaking mice, I thought to myself, knowing that we had never had mice before in this house. As I tried to forget about the noises that I had heard, I got my tea out of the microwave and drank it before getting into bed. The noises had stopped by this point. Okay, so I'm a pretty hefty dude, so sipping any kind of tea while half laying down in bed is a bit of a chore. That's why I prefer using a bed table laid across my broad chest to catch any drips or drops of tea that could miss my mouth and land on my bed. And I distinctly remember not spilling a single drop of tea, so there is no way my hearing could have been impaired by that noise, or that I could have mistaken the drips or drops noise with the distinct scratching that I kept hearing. Okay, so I'm a little bit spooked. This is the first time my walls go nuts, but it's the first time it's happened in a while. My parents once caught the walls this way too, so they told me to go back to bed or get out. But neither were an option right now, so trying to settle my heart back to where it started getting fast, I grabbed a quick snack and called 911. The line ran for what seemed to be an eternity while I was waiting for my walls to come on in. The 911 caller answered the phone saying, "Help for fun, what is your emergency?" I answered back, "My walls are not normal tonight." She responded with a bored-sounding grunt and said, "I whip my kids on Tuesdays and Fridays, yet there's always some jacked-up beefcake like you to ruin my nights." We both would have laughed if it wasn't for the horrifying realization of what might happen at any minute. The next few moments were silent except for the awkward and highly romantic tension that was growing between us. I felt sweat on me, so I decided it was time to break the silence and say, "I have tea." I got the middle finger in return, but decided it was best to keep shut. Without a second thought, I began wiping my spit on a dry sandpaper cloth. I remember someone said, "Why am I in this place?" But I couldn't recall who. I ignored the strange sentiment and took up the sandpaper. I have no idea how I did this, but I somehow managed to pick the lock sitting by itself on the floor with a bent bit of sandpaper. I have since tried to do this feat again, but I haven't even gotten close. Adrenaline is one heck of a drug. After picking the lock, I stood up and exited out the back door and began my escape in the night. I ran for several hours to my grandma's estate. She let me stay there until my house was blessed by my Catholic grandpa. After that, everything went back to normal, but I am still haunted by what happened to me that night. If you guys have any questions or advice you could give to me, that would be much appreciated, as long as it's constructive.